Which one is your real hair? Or are they both real?
They're wigs.
So you heard all about this Cardi B trial and you saw the people writing about it. Here's the thing. Basically, none of them were trial lawyers. This is what I do. I am a trial lawyer. I go and I fight for people. When someone is claiming that they are owed money, I'm the one in the courtroom fighting for people. We're going to go through this trial. We're going to talk about some of the things that we see. Why is it that it was even happening like this? Why is it about money, not about going to jail? What is that about? You heard allegations she assaulted someone. Doesn't that mean she goes to jail? So let's just knock this out right now. There's two kinds of justice systems in our country. One, the criminal justice system. That's where the state says, we're going to try to put you in prison or take away some rights. That's a crime. The other is the civil justice system, and sometimes it can be both. Assault could be a crime. It can also be, you assaulted me, I'm going to sue you. So in this case, someone sued Cardi B and said, I want your money. Anyway, here we go. Let's take a look together and let's see if I might be able to add some things beyond what you've seen before.
What is your background? Are you Hispanic, white, something else?
Well,
What's the objection?
Irrelevance. Yeah.
Listening.
This is cross-examination, and for reasons that blow my mind, we're asking a witness about her background. I'm not saying that generally that question isn't ignorant and offensive, but I'm not ruling out the possibility that there could have been somewhere he was going that actually mattered. Sometimes things that sound ridiculous actually have a point if you let the lawyer get there.
Would you consider yourself African American?
I consider myself Afro-Caribbean.
Ma'am, do you need to give your attorney a second to object? What's your objection?
All right, so here's what just happened. When you're a witness and there's an objection, you're not supposed to answer right away. Why? Because the judge is deciding if the objection is sustained or overruled. If the judge overrules the objection, that means you go ahead and answer. If the judge sustains it, you're not supposed to answer it. What Cardi B did there, she actually answered the question she's not supposed to.
Now let's tell you that you're causing a disturbance in the building.
No, she was causing a disturbance. She's recording me and following me.
Let's talk about that.
All right, so let's talk about witnesses on the stand for a minute. You guys see how Cardi B got really kind of worked up? So generally, we're playing things out a little bit. There's a group of people on the jury. That jury is judging you. They're judging how you react. They're judging if they think you're credible. Usually, you want to stay calm. Why? Because getting worked up usually is a bad sign. It hurts your credibility, but I don't think so there. I thought Cardi B at that moment came across as pretty real. Overall, I doubt her lawyer was too concerned. Probably not what he wanted her to do, but he probably sat there and said, okay, she comes across as being pretty sincere in that moment.
Are people allowed to record you if they want to in a public place?
Objection calls for a legal conclusion. Mischaracterizes.
Do you know if it's okay for someone to videotape you?
Objection calls for a legal conclusion.
Listening.
100% Cardi B's lawyer on the ball. So what happened was, I don't know if you caught this, the lawyer on cross-examination, the lawyer who was on the other side, said, is it okay for you to be recorded? Calls for a legal conclusion. He was like, oh, I'll ask her opinion. So in some cases, if you change it to not what do you know, but what do you think, it becomes relevant. Here, equally objectionable. She's not a lawyer. She's not the judge. Judge decides the law of that case in any trial. Cardi B doesn't get to decide it.
Could it be possible that she was recording you? She was simply holding her phone in front of you. Is that possible?
Objection
Yes or no?
calls for speculation.
Listening.
Anything's possible. But the question just sounds dumb, right? And the lawyer's got a job to do. But here's the problem with that question. Are they actually going to argue later in this trial that we held up the phone as if we were recording, but we didn't record? That's not really easy to believe, right? There's someone famous right in front of you. Pull up your phone while following them, but you didn't hit record.
If you wanted to fight with someone, would you use your left hand, your right hand, or both?
Objection asked and answer.
Listening. Hardly more.
So here's what's interesting. Cardi B's lawyer is getting all the objections sustained. That's a win, right? Maybe. Getting all your objections sustained means the judge agrees with you. That was not a proper question. But the judge doesn't decide this case. The jury decides the case. If you object and it's overruled, you may have just said to the jury, hey, jurors, listen closely to this. I didn't want you to hear it. So there's a constant struggle when you're the lawyer who's not standing up at that moment to decide when to object or not object.
When Imani Ellis told you to leave the building, did you follow her command?
No, she wasn't acting like a security guard.
She was a security.
Objection. He's arguing.
Do security guard try to attack patients?
I'm sorry to double down. I wasn't on the jury. She's getting a little fiery, but she's staying pretty believable. I wonder now if that lawyer was trying to make this happen. Maybe he knew these were all objectionable questions. I don't know that. And he figured, I don't care. I'm going to see if I can get a rise out of Cardi B. Thing is, yeah, it's true. She got a little passionate there, but I don't think in a way most of us would go, yeah, she's lying. I think she's just kind of feeling attacked and fighting back, which is maybe not the perfect expert witness, but more than good enough for someone who's being sued and understandable in that setting.
Did you believe in your mind that Imani Ellis was a police officer?
No.
If you thought she was a police officer, would you have handled the situation the same way?
Objection, incomplete hypothetical.
Sustained.
That is an improper hypothetical. It's an incomplete hypothetical. It's probably irrelevant. I think the judge is doing a good job, from what I can hear, getting his rulings right, getting to the point, his interaction with the witness so far, doing a solid job from what we see.
Yesterday you had black hair, short hair. Today it's blonde and long. Which one is your real hair? Or are they both real?
They're wigs.
Over.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know that.
I regret not watching more of this trial when it happened. You know, when you're on a jury, generally you're probably taking it seriously. You know you're directly impacting the people in the courtroom, but also our system. It's a direct impact. It's not like you're voting for someone else who makes the decisions. You are making the decision. Most people take it very seriously. What was the purpose of that question? And the reason I bring that up is jurors don't want to be taken away from their lives unnecessarily. This is edited. It's little pieces at a time over a longer period of time. I don't know what the grand strategy was. You know, Cardi B didn't want to answer that, but there she did. She's under oath. Roll the eyes, but she answered it.
I didn't want him to know that I was going to an OBGYN.
You didn't want your security guard to know that?
No.
Why?
First and first, I didn't want people to know that I was pregnant.
In written discovery, were you asked to provide the name of your security guard?
Why don't we? I don't know what you're trying to impeach her on because she hasn't testified to anything yet.
Let's talk about what is impeachment. Impeachment is basically where you undermine the credibility and you can show an inconsistent statement, you can show bias. Impeachment can happen in many ways. If she says something on the stand that is inconsistent with what she wrote in those discovery papers, she can be impeached with it. I'll make it up here. Did you just say that you didn't want your security guard to know? Isn't it true that you told us in a sworn statement in discovery a year ago that you did, in fact, tell your security guard? That's an example. That didn't happen as far as I know, but that's an example. Here, this is what the lawyer is doing wrong. He's going to the written discovery, impeachment, about something that's not inconsistent with what she said. You have to impeach off something that's different than what's being said. You can't just start reading their discovery into evidence while they're on the stand. So that's why the judge said you're not allowed to go there yet.
Is Tiara Malcolm a witness to this case?
Counsel, please.
But I'm saying, have you ever seen a security officer, a police officer?
It takes guts to switch your hair to that degree in the middle of your testimony. Middle across, changing it up. But you know what? Be you. When I talk to clients about how to dress for court, I do tell them things like I tell men, if you never wear a suit, I don't want you wearing a suit to court. If you always wear a suit to court. I do give some limitations. I want some buttons on your shirt. It can be 3 buttons. It can be a button down. But even if you're someone that normally wears a t-shirt, you have to show respect for the court, respect for the jury, respect for the process. This is a little more of a drastic change than I see with most of my clients. I probably would advise against it. I'd probably have the hair the same throughout the whole trial. And at the same time, are you going to lose because of that? Probably not.
Do you own the building of 8920 Wilshire Boulevard?
No, I was walking to a doctor's office.
Do you agree that you were a guest in that building? You were
Yes.
a visitor, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
You see her compose herself? That's probably the work she's done with her lawyer. They probably practiced, because if she goes off now, in spite of every question he's asked, and the jury probably going, where is he going? If she goes off on him, she's the one who loses, right? Maybe not the whole case, but loses credibility. Maybe loses the case. And it's not fair, right? She has a right to feel attacked. We've all seen, question after question after question. The judge is sustaining all the objections. She caught herself. She did pretty good.
Do you remember yesterday you said that there was a verbal altercation between the two of you? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And an altercation is a fight.
Got to be careful about those things. A lot of times lawyers will say that. Do you remember saying this? And clients will be like, yeah, because they don't want to admit they don't remember saying it, or they don't remember the context. So if you're ever testifying and someone says, well, you said this or you wrote this, Make sure you actually remember that. You don't have to deny it if you don't know, but be very careful, because often what that is a total misrepresentation that's based on a kernel of what you said, twisted to say something else. Now, maybe she did say that. Now he gets into the full-on twisting right here. An altercation is a fight.
It's a verbal fight. You had a verbal fight with her.
Asked and answered.
Yes or no?
Yes.
15.
You used the F word during that fight, didn't you?
Yes.
What other words did you use? Tell us in your own words what you said.
I said, on my face. Why are you in my face? Why are you recording me? Ain't you supposed to be security?
Tell us
Why?
right now. Go ahead.
Huh?
Say it again. Say it.
Objection, Your Honor.
You want me to say it to
I
her
want
face?
you to tell it to her face what you said on that day so she can hear it for
The
herself.
objection is sustained.
And, Your Honor, do we have civility in the
Yeah.
courthouse?
Why don't we just take the temperature down a little bit?
Oh my gosh, why don't you say it to her face? This judge remained very calm. Let's just take the temperature down. Some judges would have had the jury leave the courtroom, had a very serious conversation with that lawyer. This is his time to cross-examine her. And I'll tell you something, I think he's getting frustrated, the lawyer. When he has to get to the point of saying, say it to her face, he's not getting what he wants. Do I know that? I don't know that. And it was interesting because if she does what he says, what does the jury think? I don't know. You told her to do it on the one hand, but if she with anger in her voice says, you effing this, get that thing out of my face, whatever, she could look bad. That was an unusual, unconventional, unorthodox cross-examination request, which was once again not a question. Say it to her face is not a question.
And if you wanted to scratch or cut her face with your right hand or your left hand, if you wanted to do it, you could have done it, correct?
But
You're
I
not
didn't.
disabled,
But I
right?
didn't, because I had a baby inside me.
How did she know?
Time out. Let's slow down the pace just a little bit, both for the opportunity to give objections and for the court reporter.
Hear how you mentioned the court reporter? During this whole time, someone is typing up every single word. You know how hard that is, no matter what? You know how much harder it is if two people talk at the same time? Here you had 4. He's all over her too quickly. She's responding to him too quickly. Her lawyer is objecting and the judge is trying to calm it down. And the court reporter is supposed to get it all down. Who said what in what order? Not an easy job.
Are you disabled? Yes or no?
At that moment, when you're pregnant, I'm very disabled. You want me to tell you the things I can't do?
Fine. What was your... What...
Assuming that was the jury laughing. That's a good sign for Cardi B. I don't know that, right? Because we don't see the jury in these things intentionally. One of the great things about the jury system is, in spite of what happens in TV and the movies, very, very hard to rig a jury. Let me tell you why. I don't think judges are generally bought off, but in theory, they could be. You know who the judge is on the case, right? And lawyers could be bought off. Juries are way harder because you don't even know who's going to be on the jury until the trial starts. So you get a jury laughing like that when she says something that kind of funny, probably intended to be funny, and maybe they're connecting with her a little more than the plaintiffs at this point.
What was your disability on February 24th of 2018? What was your disability?
I was pregnant. I couldn't protect myself, even if I wanted to. She's like twice my size.
No problem, no problem. Let me ask you this.
You didn't want her to keep going with that answer.
That's the question. We need to wait for the answer.
Okay, yeah.
See the judge, let her finish her answer. You may not like where it's going, let her finish, which is fine. It's a really tough thing because on the one hand, you have to be in control of cross. This is not the witness's game. This is your game. You're in control. The other hand, you cut him off too much. You look like you're hiding something. Here, the way it was cut off after not cutting off before, and even the words he chose were probably not the words he would normally choose to try to regain control of the witness.
You said she's bigger than you? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
How do you know that?
I mean, look.
Because she's overweight, right? In your opinion.
Objection relevant.
It's 15.
It's a little...
You don't need to answer me.
Okay. Did you call her fat?
No, I was calling her a...
Well, to be fair, I think if the jury believes she called the plaintiff fat, that would be much more offensive than calling her whatever word may or may not start with a B for what her actions were. So not like either is necessarily the main part of this case, but...
Are you aware that your security guard, Ferran Newton, on the day of the incident, apologized to Miss Ellis on your behalf?
Objection.
It's 15.
Did your security guard tell you that he apologized to Miss Ellis on your behalf at any time?
Objection. Asked and answered, argumentative, black thunder.
So people might go, well, why isn't that relevant? If your security guard apologized to her, the person suing you, you must have done something wrong. First of all, he wasn't there. Second, it's not relevant if he's sorry. The lawsuit is not about whether your security guard thinks you acted inappropriately. That's not the lawsuit. The lawsuit is, did you do things that caused her physical and or emotional harm that are compensable, meaning that you owe money for because of the damage you did with your words, your actions, was basically an assault. That's the question. 9 people can line up and go, oh, I'm so sorry about what Cardi B did. That's not relevant to this case. Even more so when he wasn't even there. And even more so when apparently it's been asked and answered repeatedly.
Have you ever been assaulted and battered in your life?
Objection, Your Honor.
Assisting.
Have you ever been abused in your life?
Counsel,
Whoa.
if you're out of questions, you can ask the question.
I didn't see the whole trial. Plaintiff's counsel in this case is fortunate, and maybe he already knew this about this judge, that he has a judge that's not fiery, asking the jury to leave, asking somebody as a defendant in this case, at least from what we know in the testimony we've seen, if she's ever been abused in her life, something that's not relevant, highly personal. Every lawyer is an officer of the court. You cannot purposely break the rules. If you know it is objectionable to ask someone if they've ever been abused, you don't get to do it just to help your client, even if your client wants you to. Even if it would help the case. If it's improper, it's improper as an officer of the court. That was a question that got much closer to the line than a lot of these other questions, in my opinion.
The defendant came here, used all of this foul language. This is a court of law. You cannot speak this way in a court. I have never seen this before.
That's improper. One, at least in what we saw, he asked her to say the language that was what he called foul language. But what's objectionable is his statement that I have never seen this. You are not allowed to testify in closing argument.
And for her to use all of those words, F word, B word, all these different words, it's a disrespect to us. It's a disrespect to the judge. It's disrespect to this courthouse. You cannot come to court and say these kind of words.
You know what? I understand now why the Cardi B trial got so many people interested in it. Look, I want to say something. I cannot imagine what it's like to be Cardi B in a number of ways. She literally just wanted to go in peace to an OB appointment and didn't want anyone to know she was pregnant. Most of us would agree that if a woman is not ready to tell other people that she's pregnant, it'd be good to keep it a secret. Someone out there right now is going, well, she's a celebrity and that's what she... Maybe. I understand. She signed up for it, right? Cardi B wasn't an accidental celebrity. She wanted to become a huge star. She became a huge star. Fair enough. But you also hope people will be decent, right? The jury deliberated for an hour. That suggests that not only did they find totally in Cardi B's favor, but they weren't very impressed. You know, an hour includes going back, selecting a 4-person, getting the exhibits, reviewing the exhibits, talking it out. Now, look, I've gotten verdicts back in 15 minutes, and I've had juries deliberate over a couple days, but I want to give credit a little bit to Cardi B because she kept her cool, at least in what we just saw. That is way harder than it looks. I thought she did better than a lot of people under a lot more pressure. So let's go with some letter grades here. Cardi B, as a witness, with the pressure she was under, everything going on, solid B+, really good, above average witness. Under the circumstance and what she was dealing with, she did really well. I can sit here and nitpick. I'm not going to do that. She seemed believable. She stayed within herself. She seemed pretty real the whole time. So that's number one. In fact, I'm going to jam on the Spotify Cardi B playlist on the way home today, just out of respect for the job she did. Her lawyer, from what we saw, which was only the objections, sounded like he stayed pretty calm. He was on the ball, ton of objections, but considering where it seemed like it was going, he probably was making the right decision in that case. I can't give him a full letter grade other than sounded like a top level lawyer to me. Plaintiff's counsel, the one who was cross-examining her. Here's the problem with grading this, and I will, but let me just say this. If you don't have a strong case, you don't look like as good of a lawyer. When you have a super strong case, you look like a better lawyer. But from what we saw, he was a little bit all over. I'm just gonna give him a C. Could have been much worse. He was not afraid to keep asking the questions that he knew were going to be objected to. He had a plan. He stuck with his plan. There might have been reasons about that plan that we don't know. You know, it's time to go home. The lights are down. It's time to go home. So let me wrap this up. Give him credit. He probably knew he didn't have a great case when he walked into court. He still had the guts to walk into court and fight for his client, knowing the world was watching, so to speak. I think you get a lot of credit for that. And the judge remained calm and got the objections right that we saw from what we know. So I'm also going to say, you know, from what I saw of the judge, thought he did great. I'd give the judge, you know, if it was a letter grade an A, to stay calm when you have that many objections that you have to keep sustaining. And, you know, some of the things that happened there, I thought the judge was pretty impressive for what we saw. So Do you want to see more of a trial lawyer talking about actual trials and what goes on? Make sure you comment, first of all. Help me out here. I can't keep doing this if you don't like, subscribe, and follow and do all the things that are going to let me know that you actually want to hear more of this. So do all those cool things. Let me know what you think, and we will see you next time.